Hello, Rebecca. Thank you for letting me interview you regarding Erickson's psychosocial stages of development.
It's my pleasure to be here.
The purpose of this interview is for you to demonstrate your understanding of the theory and how the theory applies to you and students you currently teach or plan to teach. Imagine I have never heard of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. Briefly explain features of Erickson's theory of psychosocial development. What is the source of this information?
Well, Erik Erikson's theory of psychosocial development includes 8 stages of development that you endure throughout life, starting from infancy until death. His life spanned from 1902 to 1994, and an interesting trivia fact was he was trained by Sigmund Freud, known as the father of psychoanalysis, the study of the brain. As I said, he had 8 stages of development that he believes all of us humans go through. And each stage involves a certain crisis, a certain situation that a person is supposed to either develop or they will fail to develop. Um,
Thank you so much. At what stage of development do you see yourself now? What do you think? So,
as I said, there were 8 stages of development starting from infancy until death. Currently, I would put myself in the 7th stage, which is also known as generativity versus self absorption. It's actually during your middle adulthood stage of life. In this stage, you are deciding whether you want to give back and make your mark on the world. At this point, maybe that would really strongly correlate with the teaching field, because we would like to equip our students with skills and knowledge that they will hopefully acquire, and we may never see it. We're giving it back to the future. We're making our mark. Failure to do that would come sort of in the behaviors of self-absorption, really just more concerned with self rather than the community. So yeah, I would say that I am in the stage of generativity versus self-absorption, which is middle adulthood. And yeah.
can you explain how being at this stage of development may influence your behavior?
Well, again, as I said, it is generativity versus self absorption. So, one important aspect of teachers is giving back to earlier generations so that they can bring that into the future.
On what do you base this explanation?
I've done a lot of research throughout my bachelor's degree in college, and also currently studying at National University. Um, One of my resources of information is actually our textbook assigned through our class of ITL 606. I also have been provided with a wonderful packet from our instructor that goes over all of the stages and multiple talking points on the different details.
Can you please identify at what level your students are likely to be at in Erickson stages?
Well, preferring my what age I prefer to teach would be the elementary grade level. So, with that in mind, I would assume that most of my students, would be in stage 3 of the 8 stages of development. Stage 3 is where a person is between initiative and guilt. It's usually between ages 3 and 6. That's when they're really, really exploring their social and physical skills and really asserting their power and control. And they need that balance to be able to explore those skills so that they can get that confidence um, and knowing that my students would either fall into stage 3 or even 4, industry versus inferiority. That's usually around age 6 to 12. Again, it's feeling good about your abilities and being able to have confidence and high self-esteem, or the opposite. If you fail in these stages, you're going to get low self-esteem and a feeling of inadequacy. So knowing this about my students, I feel like that would influence my teaching methods, possibly adding more cooperative learning, which would require a lot of group work, and within those group assignments and activities, each individual member would have a specific job or duty which would support the gaining of that self-confidence with their own personal skills.
What might be some disconnects between you and your students, keeping the differences in the stages in mind?
Well, um, being in a different stage with anybody, obviously we're going to be having different crises that we are dealing with our own personal lives. As I said, mine would be in the middle adulthood stage, stage 7, generativity versus self-absorption. So my stage requires me to fulfill certain um, tasks and objectives to try to attain that developmental ability. And um, so by being a teacher and having my students, I can interact with my students and fulfill what I need to gain that generativity. My students, I know that at these stages, stage 3, initiative versus guilt, and stage 4, industry versus inferiority, there is this desire and this need really to test the limits, to really to find out what their abilities are and what their skills are, and how far that they can go and how good and proficient they are at these skills. So there is a fine balance in being able to allow that freedom for them to test um, their limits. So I think that would be the most challenging part about interacting both of our stages, because there is such a fine balance, and I would not want to hold them back, um, but I would also want to be a good supervising support for them.
Do you have any final comments?
Really, my final comments are we can learn so much from Erik Erikson and his theory of the stages of development. I feel as though theories are a basis for understanding, and Erik Erikson's theory is a basis for understanding what children and us as people go throughout life, and what abilities and what the word escapes me, what developments, just what we are trying to attain during each stage. So I am grateful for our theorists and those who have gone before us and have done some amazing research to give us a basis for understanding. So you're welcome, and thank you.